Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome. It's Friday, the 22nd of November, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as they always say. Hi, I want to welcome you, a warm welcome you here to How to Fight CPS with me, your host, Bob Pace. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS, and I'm glad you did. I want you to know that I'm here to help you with your CPS case. Now, I come on twice a day, 7 days a week. I've been doing this for over a year now, and I have met a lot of you. I've talked to over 600 people, and I've talked to 17 countries and 50 U.S. states. And CPS is a problem around the world. I'm not saying that there's a solution to it, but I try to help you understand the agency that you're going to get involved with or have been involved with and how they take your children. Now, that's the dark side of CPS. I don't think all of CPS is bad, but there's a lot of cases that are bad, including my own from my own experience, how I lost my home and lost one of my children. You find me coming on at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. And then I come on at 7 o'clock in the evening for 1 hour. I do this every day, 14 shows a week. Now, on Friday, which is today, I go to my son's football game at his school. He's in the playoffs, and he likes to support. I like to support him and the team, and so I'll be coming on at 3 o'clock this afternoon instead of at 7, and that's a 4 hour earlier time. It'll be 6 o'clock on the East Coast, but I'll be leaving here at 4 o'clock for the game, and I do this during the Friday Night Lights, which is the football season in high school. Now, on Saturday is that special question and answers that my attorney, Vincent W. Davis, is doing. You just heard from him cover a special Zoom meeting on Saturday that you're all invited for free, and it'll play again at the end of my podcast. There's a website to sign up for it. Also, you can join our school and learn about CPS. CPS has become a very complicated issue, only because it isn't fair. And there's a lot of bad CPS agencies around the country. So I'll come on at 8 o'clock on Saturday to give time for people to watch this podcast. And also Sunday I go to church, so I come on at 8 o'clock, so I'm a couple hours early on Sunday. So Friday at 3 o'clock, Saturday at 8 o'clock, and Sunday at 8 o'clock. And the rest of the times, as I told you before, um, 10 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time. And I do this in hopes of helping each other. I mean, I didn't have it when I had my CPS case. I did not know what CPS even stood for or what they were. It's a shame that we don't have life skills anymore in school. We should have it at elementary level, at middle school, high school, and college. These life skills are so important because, things like dating and marriage and, CPS, cooking and sewing and doing your checking account or savings account in bank or finances or how to do your tax returns with the IRS or your state tax board. These life skills are really important. And I think they've gotten away from them, and I think they should have them all the time because you would gear them at elementary level so that the elementary kids would understand the life skills, like how to play with friends and bullying and mean things that they do at at elementary school. The middle school, it continues. And, high school, it does the same thing too. There's things about pregnancy and sex and dating and love and so forth. And in college, there's marriage and divorce. Those are all things that, you're not born with a hand manual. So I wish that they had that. But I call CPS the Child Protection System. What that means in the United States, we have a government that's mandated that a part of social services watch your children and keep them from neglect or abuse, protect them from neglect or abuse. And the way that it works is that someone will call in, either a lay person or a professional. Professionals are trained, they've taken classes of how to report neglect or abuse, and they know how to easily identify. The lay person doesn't really have that training. And sadly to say, a lot of the lay person use it as retaliation measures against neighbors or relatives or family or friends or whatnot. So when things are called in, the way it works is the accusations were made by this person anonymous, and they don't have to sign their name or turn in a piece of paper, which I think they should, because if they're proved to be a false story, they should be prosecuted. It's wrong for people to manipulate the system, because dealing with CPS is a nightmare. And I speak that from my experience that I was involved. I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. Now, CPS is found in every state and every county. And it's also found around the world in countries, whether you're in Bangladesh or India or the Middle East, or you're in Africa or Europe or North America or South America, or the Pacific, Australia and New Zealand. Those are the countries that I've heard from. And they too have had trouble with CPS. And what's happened is that I believe it's got out of hand. Now, this agency has different acronyms in different states. Like in California, it's called the Child Protection Services. But that's Orange County. Right next door in LA County, it's called the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS. In Kentucky, it's called the Cabinet. In Arizona, it's called the Department of Children's Services. So it's easy for me just to say the Child Protection System, CPS. And they're supposed to protect your children from abuse and neglect. And so when they receive these calls, right away, you are guilty. It's the only legal thing where you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Whereas all the other criminal matters, you are innocent till you're proven guilty. But CPS is different. It is different. And so you're working against being thought of as what that individual has said is true. And a lot of it's misguided, or they try to alienate parents from their children. And, assumptions are made. It's really bad out there how people sometimes bully each other. And bullying is really wrong. Alienation is wrong. But the social workers have to investigate it within 24 hours. And so they send out a social worker, usually, and sometimes they're with the police for their own protection. The reason why they bring out police, some of the bad ones, is because of intimidation factor. They think a policeman will intimidate the person to do anything or agree with anything or, say anything. And so it is bad. It's bad to have the police and the social worker show up or call you and so forth because you don't know what to do. And you try to do the right thing, and I didn't do the right thing. I did not do the right thing. Now, they're supposed to not only protect your children from neglect and abuse, they're supposed to offer families in need of shelter, clothing, food, transportation, medical, education, and even a job. That's what they're supposed to do. And a lot of you are in need of that. A lot of you are in need of that. And that may be one of the reasons why you're struggling to take care of your family. Now, they also will take your family apart, take your children if there's danger going on. If there is extreme danger going on, such as parents arguing in front of their child, that's wrong. Or hitting each other or anything like that nature. That's domestic violence. And they will come in and intervene and take your children away. Now, if they do take your children away or break the family apart, they have to do what's called family reunification. Because they found out the best parents to raise the children are the biological parents. So it's really important to have the families rejuvenate themselves. So with that being said, I encourage you all to be very, very careful when you're talking to CPS workers because they can't be trusted. And I'm speaking from my own experience and from the experience of over 600 people. The common thing they have is right away their children are taken and put into foster care. And the foster care system is very corrupt and very bad. This is, again, from my experience. Now, out of the more than 600 people, I've had 3 people that are social workers on my show. That was great that they joined me. I hope that more social workers would speak up and talk about how they handle their CPS case, because we do need that. We do need that. Because the protection of these children, 1,000 children every day are treated very, very bad, and they're hurt, and they go underreported. So we do need someone looking after kids, but we need that someone as a responsible adult, a responsible social worker who is trained, who's supposedly educated in social services and, clinical psychiatry and so forth, but they're not. My social worker had no high school, no college, no even mentoring anybody. She right away at age 23 was thrown into how to fix a family. And what does a 23-year-old know? They've not had a family, they've not been married. Most of the social workers, are not married or not have families. At least the bad ones. I'm not talking about the good ones because I know there's good ones out there. I know there's good foster care, but so far I've only had 3 out of over 600 that have called in and talked to me. I'd love to hear from not only the social workers and foster care parents, I'd like to hear from the police too. Because it seems like a lot of times they're used by the social worker to intimidate you to give up your child. Yes, social workers are injured or even killed when they go out to visit a family. It's a lot of risk they take, so they need police as protection. But it is a hard thing. Now, who am I? I'm a family man. I'm a father of 6 children. Been married for 42 years, and I have a lot of experience with families. I've been very much involved in my kids through scouting, through AYSO soccer, and of course, the activities my kids take in school and so forth. And unfortunately, at the age of 60 in 2010, I lost my job through no fault of my own. And I was faced to finding work at age 60, which is really hard to do. It's hard now because I'm trying to get a full-time career job. And I'm 75. I'm a dinosaur. I just turned 75, but I don't feel it. I don't think I look it. And I still think I got a good 30 more years of hard work. And then maybe I'll think about retiring. But it is a hard thing to go through this process, CPS, because you don't know. I did not know when they came to my door. And at first, it was 5 years of intimidation, meaning that I did not know that my in-laws, these are the lay people, my wife's mother and her 3 sisters, her brother, were calling in on both of us parents and saying we weren't raising our children and we weren't bathing them, we weren't putting them in school, we were ignoring them and not feeding them and so forth. And they did week by week. They would call in, and they're from Ohio. And they would call in with these false allegations. And this went on for a long time. I'd meet with the social workers. I'd talk to them. I showed them my house. They saw nothing wrong. But again, when someone calls, they have to go investigate. Well, after a period of time, they got frustrated. After 5 years, they called the police and they wanted me to meet again at the home. And so they had a detective follow me, and I was pulled over and told I was ordered to go to my home. And like me, I comply with police. I'm very conscious of them and what the job they have to do. But unfortunately, they were fishing for something they could charge me with, because all the other times they couldn't find anything wrong. So they brought out a whole army of troops, 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detective. All of them in there that wanted to see my home. Now, I did not know about the rules that you do not talk to them, social workers, or even the police. You don't show them your home. You don't give them up your children. I did all the wrong things because I trusted the police. I trusted the social workers. I trusted the CPS. I was honest with them. And so I allowed them in my home. And right away, they took my young son, who I just picked up to school, and they said, we'll watch him. And so they paraded to march through my home. And a lot of them were dressed in combat boots and combat gear, and they had mud and dirt all over my home. In fact, they broke one of my rattan furniture and didn't even care. They were actually standing on my furniture, looking out the window at my swimming pool in the backyard, admiring what a nice place this is. Well, the only thing they could find wrong was that I had my parents' belongings, which I inherited because my dad had died and asked me to give it to family and friends. So I took their belongings of 55 years of marriage and um, sorted through them, organized it, and shipped them out to family and friends. I used one room, the living room, to organize. So there was not the danger, but they thought I was charged with neglect. Me and my wife were charged with neglect. And that's what the social workers said. And they had to take our children because they're in imminent danger. Well, they were in school. Since school, you're not in imminent danger, but they were in school. Hello, KK Richardson. Welcome. KK Richardson is a single mother who is still fighting CPS. She's from Brooklyn, New York, and she had a case on Monday the 18th. How did your case go, KK? I love to find out. I love to find out. And thank you uh, for the emoji from KK. I love the love. That's great. And we have several people in the room. Anyway, um, as I was talking about my CPS case, it was really bad. And when the detective was investigating, I, like a fool, was yapping my mouth off. Same thing with the social workers. So the detective made recommendations to the district attorney who filed charges against me. Not only did they charge negligence, they also charged me with sexual charges, but they wouldn't elaborate what they were. Later, did I know that that was a bargain chip that you could drop and make a bargain with your case. I did not know that. KK says, I found it. I'll put it up on the screen. KK says, I felt it went well. I had only 30 minutes, to do my testimony and was supposed to go back Wednesday, but I was not feeling well due to my medical issues and we've been adjourned to continue my testimony and fact finding for December 10th. Okay, KK, that sounds good. You think it went well. I hope that your attorney was there helping you. I know that you got your law degree in dependency law, which is really great. And thank you for sharing that and an update for me, KK. So my case got worse. My kids were taken away that same day that they ordered me to the home, even though they're in school. And they're put into a foster care shelter. Now, the shelter happened to be next to the Bureau of Prisons and the Bureau of Prisons for Juveniles. And the play area for the shelter was adjacent to the prison play area. So it was really sad because they could talk to the inmates there. That's not protection. That's not protection at all. Oh, great. You're co hosting. I'm so glad, KK, that you're co hosting and talking. I assume you're talking about CPS and how they help out people. And I think that's great. I think it's great that you take the time to do that. Okay. I have not met Deidre paid, but I'm so glad. Um, you said that you're doing it um, on RUA CPS. Well, I know what CPS must mean. RUA, I don't know what that means. But um, what does RUA mean? Anyway, my case went on for 3 years in 2015, and it ended in December 2017, only because I hired an attorney. He was Vincent Davis, and he got my two boys back, but unfortunately, I lost my daughter. And how I lost my daughter was terrible. It was retaliation. It was retaliation. Yeah, I'm a CPS victim like me. Yeah, I am. But I don't know what RUA stands for. So I was a victim of CPS. They alienated my children from us, and they trafficked my children into foster care. They're in group homes, they're in single family homes. It was sad. It was really sad how they did it. But my attorney, Vincent Davis, I hired after I sold my home because I lost my home. And that's a hard thing because I worked 45 years for that home. So I sold my home. It's so hard to talk about. And as the case went on, um, there was some attempt by my wife's sister and her husband to uh, try to adopt our daughter, which we were totally against that. So Mr. Davis did his homework and he was asking the social worker in court what kind of parents these parents were and have they had domestic violence. And of course, the social worker said they're great parents and no, they've had no domestic violence. Then Mr. Davis, my attorney, goes to his briefcase and pulls out a folder with about 30 reports from the police department and started reading them. And they were about domestic violence of my wife's sister and husband, but they're extreme cases of physical domestic violence. And the social worker's face was very distraught because she had committed perjury. It's against the law to lie on the stands, and she could be sued. And she felt so embarrassed she left the courtroom. She later told us parents that you're never going to see your daughter again. You see, CPS retaliates, and that's wrong. They retaliated by coaching our daughter of how to emancipate from the parents. Now, at age 12 in California, a child can emancipate from their parents. So the coaching from the social worker told her first to divorce her mom, her dad, along with her brothers, her aunts and uncles and cousins, and her grandparents, both sets of grandparents. She divorced us all. And then she was told to remove her name and create a new name. And then she was told to seal her birth certificate and get a new birth certificate with the names of the foster parents who are adopting her. And these foster parents were adopting her, um, and they became the parents. Now, how can they? Biologically, they're not the parents. And of course, she, changed her name completely, sealed her birth certificate to get a new birth certificate, got a new social security card, and lied to social security, and then got adopted by these foster parents. So that was the retaliation mode that the social worker did. And so that is really important to know that. Um, And now KK says, well, they cut all my visits and electronic communication 2 days prior to getting an order to show cause. And up until literally today, we're supposed to have a meeting regarding my child mental health and getting her on a better psychotropic medication regimen where she's not destabilizing based on the first parent not paying attention to her not taking the meds. Okay. Well, that is tough that children are affected. And I guess her father was the one that had done that. Her father had done that. Now let me see what up there. Especially have knowledge of your rights in these corrupt systems and how they sever relationships and display custodial interference on a regular. I believe that, KK. That is so true. That's so true. So anyway, my case, finally, my attorney, Vincent Davis, did win. That's what's important. My rule number one is you need to get an attorney. And I don't mean a court-appointed attorney. Because a court-appointed attorney has a caseload of 30 more clients. They won't have time for you. They're not trained in juvenile family dependency law. They're just in charge in criminal law. They're brand new attorneys. And they're going to do exactly what social workers tell them to do. So if you have court-appointed attorneys for your kids and court-appointed attorney for the spouses of the family, the case is going to go how CPS wants it to go. And they're in the business to make money. I know that firsthand. They're generating $20,000 per each of our children. We had three of them, our three youngest children, in their custody, and that was $60,000 a month. And that went on for 3 years, from 2015 to 2017. Well, 2 years maybe. I guess it's May of, say, summer of 15 to 16, 16 to 17. Yeah, I think it's two years. And our attorney did win and get our boys saved and back at home. So getting an attorney is really important. And Mr. Davis tries to do as much as he can free time to you all. He does it free time to you all. Now, there are 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is just be in this room. And I'm glad that you did. And you can do emojis. And you can also please check the follow button and the notification button. Now, another way of interacting, the second way, is to text messages. And they can be questions or comments about your CPS case. All I ask you is you give your first name, your city or county, and your state. And if you're from another country, your province instead of the state, because you may have a province like Australia or South Africa does. And of course, your country, so I know where you're from. And try to be complete with your CPS case. Tell as much as you can so we don't play ping pong ball guessing back and forth. A third way is to be a guest on the podcast. Now, be a guest on the podcast, you're going to contact my show producer, Grace, who works very hard behind the scenes, does a good job of making this podcast available and running smooth. Now, all you do is email her with one of my 14 show times. I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Wednesday evening show, or Bob's Tuesday morning show. You tell her that, and that she will go ahead and send you a link, because we use the StreamYard application and we broadcast on YouTube. And the link will get you there. And if you happen to be knocked off, use the same link again. It's good for that show. And she'll also tell you what to do and not to do on the podcast. So be a guest. That's really important. And then the fourth thing is you can call in. Now, my phone number's up. It's 626-698-0990. And that is my office number. I use Vonage as a phone application. It's an internet-based application, the phone is. And you can call that number, and I'll gladly talk to you. I can only talk to you during my show hours. I cannot talk to you before or after my show hours. So please call in. It's really important that you do so. It is hard sometimes talking about CPS. I know it is really, 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 really hard. I'm trying to contact some of my listeners here, like Faye and Natalie and Danielle, and hopefully that they will come on and maybe want to say something. I love to have people call in and interact with the podcast. It makes it go so good. It makes it go so good. Like KK Richardson comes in all the time. And KK further says, especially if you have knowledge of your rights and these corrupt systems and how they serve relationships and display custodial interference on a regular basis. Yes, KK, I know that. I think I've already put that up. I may have put it up twice a time there. But I want to make sure that the people in my room get a chance to say what they have to say. I just Faye Manley, who is from Richmond, Kentucky, has had a hard time in life with CPS. And CPS in Kentucky is very corrupt, as well as the police. And she had her daughter stolen. Now, Faye was once a foster care child. She'd been in and out of foster care 5 times growing up in her childhood and teenage years. She'd been abused, molested, tortured, and sexually trafficking. She experienced it all. And on top of that, she somehow got a high school education and a college degree and worked as a nurse. And like most people, she wanted to have children, so she had 2 children. Her first child was a boy, a son, who was a special needs son. And her next child was a girl. The only problem is that CPS found out she had a background and they wanted to take one of her children. And so they asked her, which one do you want, your son or your daughter? Well, her daughter was only 8 months at the time. And her son was 15 and he had special needs. He needed to be helped. So she took her son over her daughter and gave up her daughter into a foster care family that wanted to adopt a child. It wasn't because she was doing anything wrong or bad. That's exactly how CPS operates. They get their money. It's all a money thing. And in Kentucky, it's very corrupt. So she lost her daughter She has her son. She just would like very much to let her daughter know that she loved her and it was not her fault that she had to give her up. And so she's trying to reopen the case. And again, she was tricked and she was brought up and then let down because they've not changed. She thought they had changed. So she talked to a new ombuds person, and the cabinet supposed was reorganized, and so she applied, thinking some things were wrong by them. And they said, "Oh, we found nothing wrong with taking your child." And it was really um, hard. Now, KK has written again. Um, okay, I've already put that up there, KK. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I've already put that up there. I thought you'd written up there, and so I was checking my messages. So back to Faye from Kentucky. She calls in and she tells me what the bad things that goes on with Kentucky, and she is helping other families with CPS problems. See, CPS is a bad agency. They're very corrupt. I mean, if you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, that's what CPS is. You're like Alice. You came in through the rabbit hole, met the Chester cat, and you're going from room to room, going nowhere. That's what CPS is. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. So that's why you need an attorney schooled in dependency law. It's very important that the attorney you pick, and Mr. Davis is available to be retained at 888-888-6582. That's the office. And you also get attorneys for other matters: immigration, real estate, divorce, criminal matter, whatnot. He has an attorney for all your needs. But CPS, I say it's like open heart surgery, is you need a professional attorney, someone schooled in dependency law. That's families background and juvenile background. And Mr. Davis is that one. He's been fighting for 35 years. He's a trial attorney. And he's also done civil lawsuits and beaten CPS and won millions of dollars from CPS. So he's the real deal. He's a pit bull fighter, but he's also a kind man that will help you. He's a kind man that will help you. That's why it's important that you listen to his podcast on Saturday. It's free. And I want to thank Mr. Davis for all the things he does for everybody out there. He's a good man. You know, he's a trial attorney, and he loved to represent you. He works out of Arcadia, California, and he does work in LA County, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino County, even a case up in Mount Shasta area of California, Northern California, and then he has a case in Oklahoma. He'll go to any state and help you with your case. All you need to do is talk to him. There's several ways you can, but before I forget that, the first way is free for 15 minutes. If you call in and you're on the phone, then you qualify for a free consultation, private consultation with Mr. Davis. Or if you're a guest on my podcast and you talk on the podcast, you're entitled to a free consultation with Mr. Davis, a free consultation with Mr. Davis. And he will help you. All you have to do is that when you're a guest on my show or you called into my phone, is give me your name, your complete name, your phone number, and your email. And then I'll forward it on to my show producer, Grace. Now, she can be reached at Grace at VincentWDavis.com to be a guest on my podcast. You send her an email, Grace at VincentWDavis.com, and you put in that date or time. Now, with me, you just text me your name, phone number, and email, and then I will contact Grace with that information and say to set up a free consultation with Mr. Davis for 15 minutes. That's either if you call in or you're a guest on my podcast. I'm going to have up to 9 guests, include myself as 10 windows on this podcast. Now, that's one way you can talk to Mr. Davis. Another way is I made a special arrangement for people that want longer time, like 30 minutes. He will talk to you for 30 minutes with a free consultation for $60. All you do is email to that website at the bottom of my screen. Reserve your time, pay with your credit card the $60, and then you'll talk to him for 30 minutes. Make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's really important that he knows that. Let me see here. So I strongly urge you to call in and talk to him. And you have right now 3 ways or 4 ways if you count this Saturday's podcast. You got the Saturday podcast at 10 o'clock, and then you got the be a guest on my podcast or the call in, or you can call that number 888-888-6582 and ask to speak to him. Or the 30-minute time where you do that website. Now, I told you about the importance of having an attorney, and you really should stay away from court-appointed attorneys. I already told you why you shouldn't really do them. But my other rule is that you organize your paperwork into a notebook. It's very important when you organize your paperwork. And you have subject tabs. And one of the most important documents is a timeline. Incident timeline. That's where you track all your incidents. It's very important to document your case. All you do on the first line is put the name, the date, the time, the location, and who was involved in the incident. The second line, you make a summary sentence, a 1 sentence, of what the incident was about. The third line is the outcome. And you repeat that for every incident you have with social workers, the police, the school, your children, other adults, neighbors, whatnot. And you record all that because you won't remember 2 months, 3 months, 2 years from now. That's something I didn't do. So that's my rule number 2. Rule number 3 is do not talk to social workers. Don't answer your door. If you don't know the person, you shouldn't answer the door. Because too many people have been shot and killed by police who think they're searching the right apartment for domestic violence. It's a sad state of affairs. So the best thing is not answer your door. There'll be a notice or a card on your door that you can take a look at. And you can contact them with CPS and tell them that you'll meet with them, but you got to have your attorney present. It's very important you have an attorney present at all times with CPS. Because there are things you don't know that they'll take advantage of. They know how they extrapolate the money. It's a money-making business for them. And it's not the money from you they're taking. It's the money they take from the federal government. It's trillions of dollars. I mean, the CPS group pays their workers bonuses and incentives because that Clinton passed that act in, I think, in 2000. Was it 1997? I think it is. And where they get some money if they get more people adopted into foster care. They don't believe in family reunification. It's sad, but they don't. So don't let them into your home. Don't talk to them. If you're outside and you meet them, just say that you need to have your attorney present. It's a constitutional right that through all legal proceedings you have an attorney present. And it's very important that you not say anything because they will use it against you. And you don't have to surrender your children. They have to have a warrant or your permission or the child is in extreme danger before they can take your child. Now, warrant is a special document signed by a judge, and it's an important piece of document that spells out everything. Search your home, to take your child or whatnot. So you got to know your rights and stuff and everything. And watch out the medical trafficking. If you take your child into urgent care or the emergency room for assistance, be careful what you say and do because there are social workers that work there and they'll misconstrue things and report and want to take your child away from you. Or if you're a mother and having a child, don't have them take your baby away from you. That's happened so many times because the workers will overhear something at the hospital and turn you in. It's bad. It really is bad. Now, rule number 4 is to research the internet. It's important that you have your phrase right. You start off with the city, then the state, the letter CPS, and then your question about CPS, like the operational procedure manual, the 388 motion, how to file a grievance against it at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level. What is ICWA, the 1970 Indian Child Welfare Act? There's a lot of things that you look on the internet about your case. It's just how you set up and how you search it. Remember, it's the city, the state. If it's a small city, put the next largest city with that small city. And then you got to put CPS. Then after CPS, you can put whatever specific thing you want to know about CPS. And all that is really important there. Lastly, rule 5, you have a folder with all your important documents in there, like your driver's license, birth certificates, marriage certificates, your children's school records. If there's any mental health issues with your children, those need to be in there and so forth. So it's important to have this document, number 5. And you can make copies of everything, but it's important that you have it because you're going to be asked a lot of those questions. So those are my 5 rules I've talked about. And I am getting close to the end of my morning podcast. It's, let me see here. It's 5 minutes left of my podcast. And so I was hoping that one of you would call in or text me more questions. I do thank KK Richardson for telling me as much as you can. That's very, very, very nice, KK. And I want you the best of luck with your case. So, now there's lots of topics we can talk about. You can still call in now. My number is 626-698-0990. And you can still call in. And we can talk about anything on there. But you got to be safe about CPS. They're not your friend. They're not transparent. It's all for the money. It isn't for really to help out the children or help out the families. I don't think they believe in family reunification. And they certainly don't want to help families that are in need. I mean, if you need food, ask for it. If you need clothing, ask for it. A shelter. You need education like parenting classes, or you need education for your children, or you need medical because you got some type of ailment. It's important to ask for needs for help because that's what the child protection system should be is to help families, help to be better parents, and help them, take care of their children and so forth. But now it's gotten so corrupt and so bad. It's got so corrupt and so bad. Now, we have somebody that came in here. Oh, Kima. Okay. KK has another account. So she's now moved on to her other account here. Let me read that there. Okay. Akima Richardson. Thank you, Bob. Sorry, trying to multitask and do a lot of things right now and trying to wrap up the end of the week of sending of my emails and all my reports about this negligence and corruption as usual. Understand, KK. I know you are. My children were pre-diabetic before they left my home. I definitely made this known for the foster care agency and CPS and the foster parent. And if it wasn't the detective that I was to find out information that I'm privy to that CPS fails to give me. I've been really humble, compliment patient, and a little too passive. I'm getting annoyed. I understand. We try to be really nice to CPS workers. And so I know how hard it is. I got to end my podcast because it's 11 o'clock. I want to thank you, Akima Richardson or KK Richardson from New York, Brooklyn, New York. And I want to thank all the other listeners and the emojis. I want you all to still keep fighting for your case. Now, I'll be on at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's a shortened time, 3 o'clock this afternoon to talk again. So I hope you all keep fighting your case. Listen to the word from Vincent Davis. This is Bob Pace signing off, and God bless.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.